Lucius Fox and Edward Nygma as a crime-solving duo is now my favorite thing ever. Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video we are going to be doing my ideal bookshelf tag. Alright, before we get into anything bookish, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below, as well as tell me in the comments what is a book that brings you a feeling of pride. As I said, we are doing my ideal bookshelf tag. This tag was originally created at Bookmarks and Breadsticks, and I'll put a link to their video in the description down below. I, however, was tagged by the terrific Paige at the PM Reader, and I'll put a link to her video right over here. Definitely go check it out. The first book you remember reading as a child, probably something like The Hungry Caterpillar, or... No, I definitely read books earlier than Junie B. Jones. Oh, I had like a Scooby-Doo book for quite a long time. Berenstain Bears also, yeah, a lot. I don't remember a specific first. A book you received as a gift that you still own today. So anytime I think about books I've been given as gifts, I have to say this one really takes the cake. It is Looking for Alaska by John Green. My best friend Catherine gave this to me for my 22nd birthday, one of those. Well, she was actually lucky enough to find me a signed copy. Well, she crossed out the original owner's name, first wrote our friend Allie's name, crossed that out, and then wrote my name, and it's still the funniest thing ever to me. A book that was important to me in my teenage years. Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chaposki, 100%. I wasn't even a wallflower. I've definitely been an extrovert since I could talk to people, but I still loved this book. I think it just discusses so many of those things you experience while you're growing up, particularly in your teen years and when you start to slowly transition into being more independent and an adult, and how your entire outlook on things changes. I just really related to this book a lot. I reread it relatively recently when I tabbed it up a bunch, and while I don't still love it as much as I did when I was a teenager, I still totally understand why I enjoyed this so much and why it had such an impact on me. A book that you can always go back to. Charley Davidson series, 100%. I love this series. It is so entertaining. It has a combination of romance, humor, and mysteries, and that's three things I totally love. It also has a paranormal element, which when I first found this series was one of my absolutely favorite things in stories. A book that brings you a feeling of pride. That 100% has to be Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. There is a section of this in which she discusses the way media can influence us and we influence it. She looks at specific stories. I think there was one on the TV show Girls, there was one on the movie Django, there was one on the book and the movie The Help, and I just really enjoyed it overall. It made me think back to my Intro to Common Media Studies class, which is one of my favorite sectors of communications to look at. I also read it about a year after I graduated from college, so it did instill a feeling of pride from me when it came to thinking about my degree and my thesis. A book that brings you a feeling of wonder. There is no other book that is quite as magical and whimsical as The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. It is breathtaking. It is so atmospheric. It just draws you into this magical story. I totally loved it. I picked this up off of Hannah at A Clockwork Reader's recommendation. This was her favorite book for a long time. I think Erin Morgenstern's other book actually might have just recently beat it, and now I want to read that one really badly. Can't help but totally adore Morgenstern's writing. It is just the perfect kind of thing for me. And I will say it's kind of niche. If you don't love this particular style of a story, it might not be for you, but it definitely was for me. The book that you've reread the most. So not so much a book, but a series. Charley Davidson. Again, I had the 13th before, now I have the 12th. I would have held up the first because I've probably reread that one more than any of the others, but I don't own it anymore because I lent it to a colleague and then I left that job and never got it back. This is a 13-book series. I have reread the entirety of it twice, I believe, and I have probably reread the first book, God, at least 5 times if I'm honest, and maybe not in its entirety, but I've reread large chunks of that book, probably north of 5 times. A book you want to have on your shelves forever. Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I just don't think at any point in my life will I not enjoy this book. It's so whimsical and fantastical, and I sound like I'm describing The Night Circus again, but this is so tied to a nostalgic story, but it's not any story I knew as a child. It just instills that feeling in me. This book is based around Mayan mythology and folklore, which I didn't actually know a lot about when I went into, so I managed to learn new things in this. I was sucked into the atmosphere that Moreno Garcia creates because, trust me, good lord, can that woman write atmosphere amazingly. But also, this is just very reminiscent to a fairy tale that you grow up on, a book on your shelves that you want everyone to read. I actually have two for this, either The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas or Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. Both of these are YA contemporaries that tackle some heavy topics. Moxie looks specifically at feminism and misogyny, especially instilling such thought processes in young minds and the effects that can have on them, while The Hate You Give is looking at racism, but it also has so much more than that. It tackles other big topics like code switching and police brutality. Both of these stories moved me a great deal. I really enjoyed both of them so much, and I highly recommend them. They're 5 stars and they're both on my favorites shelf, and I think they definitely deserve their spot there. A book that reminds you of a specific period of your life. For that one, I'm going with It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. This is a YA contemporary that also tackles some heavier topics. Specifically, this one's looking at mental illness. This was the book that reinvigorated my love of reading. I picked this up sophomore year of college. I actually used my library at my college for the first time to check out a book with this one, and I loved it. I really enjoy the way Vizzini discusses mental illness and the effects it can have on you from when you're a teenager to the long-term effects it can have in someone's life when they're an adult. I think this is a fascinating book. It also has some other topics that don't get talked about enough in teen literature, such as outgrowing your friends, the tragedy of young love, and how much can really affect your happiness in your life. I really loved this book, and like I said, it was the first book that I read, God, in at least 2 to 3 years that I really enjoyed and made me want to pick up another book. I'll always be thankful to it. Okay, y'all, so this is a tag. That means I have to tag some people, and I'm going to be tagging 21 Readers and Belle's Library. I will put links to both of those people in the description down below. Definitely go check them out. As usual, thank you so much for coming to my channel today, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I have my Goodreads, Instagram, and Storygraph linked in the description if you're interested in following me. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!